You are sitting in your car. Your hands are on the wheel. The officer leans into your window, looks at you for a long moment, and says, "Why are you so nervous?" And right there, in that exact moment, most people make the single biggest legal mistake of their lives. They start talking. They start explaining. They start filling the silence with words that will be written down in a police report and potentially used against them in a court of law. Today, I am going to show you exactly what is happening in that moment, from a legal and psychological standpoint, what your constitutional rights actually are, and I'm going to give you the precise, tested words that allow you to protect yourself without escalating the situation. This is not about being difficult with law enforcement. This is about understanding the law. And in America, knowing the law is not a crime. Stay with me. This information could change the outcome of your next traffic stop. Let us start at the very beginning. You see the flashing lights in your rearview mirror. Here's what immediately happens inside your body, and I want you to understand this because law enforcement is trained to read it. The moment those lights activate, your brain triggers what scientists call the sympathetic nervous system response. Your adrenal glands flood your bloodstream with adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart rate spikes. Your hands may shake. Your voice may crack. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your palms sweat. This is a completely normal, involuntary human stress response. It happens to everybody. It happens to judges. It happens to lawyers. It happens to innocent people and guilty people alike. The human brain does not distinguish between a police car and a bear attack. Both trigger the same ancient survival mechanism. But here's where the legal trap is set. Officers are trained in what is known as behavioral detection. They're looking for baseline deviation, trying to establish how you normally act so they can identify anything that seems unusual. Shaking hands, avoiding eye contact, a quavering voice, all of these perfectly ordinary physiological responses can be documented in a police report as evidence of suspicious behavior. Now, when the officer approaches your window, their legal authority is strictly defined. Under the landmark Supreme Court ruling in Rodriguez versus United States, decided in 2015, the court held that a traffic stop's duration must be limited to completing the mission of the stop itself, checking your license, registration, insurance, running a warrant check, and issuing a citation or warning. That is it. The moment that mission is complete, your detention must end, unless the officer has developed independent, reasonable suspicion of a separate crime. So how do officers try to develop that suspicion? Through conversation, through casual questions that sound friendly but are designed to produce information. Where are you headed? Where are you coming from? Who are you visiting? These are not small talk. These are investigative tools. The shift from a traffic stop to a criminal investigation is often invisible. You will not hear the officer announce it. The single clearest signal is when the questions stop being about the violation and start being about you. Let us talk about what reasonable suspicion actually is, because the word nervous is deliberately used to blur this line. Reasonable suspicion, established under Terry v. Ohio, a 1968 Supreme Court ruling, requires that an officer be able to articulate specific, objective facts that would lead a reasonable person to believe criminal activity is occurring. Not a hunch, not a feeling. Specific, articulable facts. Can nervousness be one of those facts? The Supreme Court addressed this in Illinois v. Wardlow in the year 2000. The court acknowledged that nervous and evasive behavior can be a factor in a reasonable suspicion analysis, but it must be one factor among many. Nervousness alone, without more, does not give a police officer legal authority to search your vehicle. Courts have repeatedly recognized that innocent people are nervous during traffic stops for entirely legitimate reasons: prior negative experiences, general anxiety, or simply the natural physiological response to interacting with authority. So what do officers do? They document everything. Shaking hands, rapid breathing. These observations go into the police report as the foundation for an argument that reasonable suspicion existed, and then those words become part of a legal record. Here's the counter. When an officer asks you something that has nothing to do with the reason for your stop, you are under no legal obligation to answer it. The Supreme Court established in Florida versus Bostick in 1991 that citizens may decline to cooperate with police questioning, and that refusal to cooperate without more does not justify a detention or a search. Now, this is the section I want you to lock in, because this is the practical playbook. The goal is simple: provide only the information the law requires, do it calmly and politely, and don't volunteer a single word beyond that. Every state requires you to provide your driver's license, your vehicle registration, and your proof of insurance when asked during a lawful traffic stop. That's the extent of your mandatory disclosure. Here's how it sounds in practice. The officer asks, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" Your response is, "I would prefer not to speculate, officer." Short, polite, non-confrontational. You haven't admitted to anything, you haven't denied anything. The officer then asks, "Where are you coming from today?" Your response, "I would rather not answer questions beyond what is legally required." Again, calm, respectful, and legally airtight. Now, the most important script in this entire video. The officer says, "Do you mind if I take a look in your car?" Your response, "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." You must say this clearly and explicitly. If you stay silent or say something vague like, "I guess so," or I have nothing to hide," that can be interpreted as implied consent. The refusal must be clear and unambiguous. And when the officer continues asking personal questions, your redirect is this: "Officer, am I free to go once you've finished with my license and registration?" That single question signals that you know your rights under Rodriguez. It focuses the interaction on the lawful mission of the stop, and it's polite and non-hostile. Now I want to walk you through the most psychologically sophisticated tactic you will encounter, because knowing it is coming dramatically reduces its power. The officer has finished. They hand back your documents. They say, "All right, you are free to go." You start to relax, and then, just as you are putting your car in drive, they say, "Hey, before you go, you are not carrying anything illegal in there, are you? Drugs, weapons, anything like that?" This is a deliberate psychological technique. The relief of hearing you are free to go lowers your defenses. The follow-up question feels casual, almost friendly, and it is specifically designed to make an innocent person feel that saying no is harmless. But here's the legal reality. The moment the officer tells you that you are free to go, the detention has ended. You are now in what the law calls a consensual encounter. And in a consensual encounter, you have every right to simply leave. You do not have to answer that final question. Your response is, "Officer, I'm going to go ahead and leave now. Thank you." And then you leave, calmly, slowly, without sudden movements. Speaking of which, your body language is being evaluated from the moment the officer exits their vehicle. Keep both hands visible on the steering wheel. Before reaching for your license or registration, verbally announce what you are doing. "Officer, my license is in my wallet in my back pocket. I'm going to reach for it now." Turn on your dome light if it is dark. Keep all movements slow and deliberate. These actions prevent an officer from documenting furtive movements in their report, which is another factor used to build reasonable suspicion. Now let me address something directly because I know it is on your mind. If I stay silent, won't that make me look guilty? I understand why this feels true. It has been drilled into us by decades of television. But the Supreme Court in Florida versus Bostick explicitly stated that a refusal to cooperate does not furnish the minimal level of justification needed for a detention or a search. Silence is a legal tool. It is not an admission of guilt. It is the exercise of a constitutional right written into the Fifth Amendment precisely because the founders understood that the pressure to speak in high-stakes situations causes innocent people to incriminate themselves. Now let us talk about your phone, because this is the most rapidly evolving area of traffic stop law. In Riley versus California, decided unanimously by the Supreme Court in 2014, that was a 9-0 ruling, not a single dissenting vote. The court held that police generally cannot search the digital contents of your cell phone without a warrant, even incident to a lawful arrest. The Chief Justice wrote that cell phones are fundamentally different from any physical object because they contain the equivalent of a home search worth of personal information. What this means at a traffic stop, if an officer asks to see your phone, you say clearly, "Officer, I do not consent to a search of my phone." They cannot compel you to unlock it without a warrant. On recording the interaction, in 2026, most federal circuits and a majority of states have recognized a First Amendment right to record police officers performing their duties in public. Check the law in your state. If permitted, recording calmly and without interference creates an objective record that cannot be contradicted. And finally, the mindset shift. You are not trying to be uncooperative. You are not trying to be rude. You are doing exactly what the American legal system was designed for you to do, exercising constitutional rights that every American possesses, rights that were written into law not because the founders trusted government, but because they did not. Here's the rapid-fire summary. Nervousness during a traffic stop is normal and involuntary, and courts have consistently held it is not sufficient on its own to justify a search. Under Rodriguez versus United States, a traffic stop must be limited to its lawful mission. The moment the citation is complete, your detention must end. You are legally required to provide your license, registration, and proof of insurance. That's it. When asked for consent to search, say it clearly. I do not consent to any searches. The question, am I free to go, is your single most powerful verbal tool. Your phone is protected under Riley versus California. No warrant, no access. And silence is not guilt. It is a constitutional right. Use it without apology. This information is not anti-law enforcement. It is pro-Constitution, and understanding it makes everyone safer because clear, legally informed interactions reduce tension for everyone involved. If this video helped you understand your rights in a way you didn't before, share it with someone who needs to see it. And if you have ever been in a traffic stop where you didn't know what to say, drop a comment below and tell me what happened. I read every single one. Hit subscribe if you're not already here, because every week we break down the laws that affect your everyday life in plain language with the case citations to back it up. I'm your host. This is Legal Logic. Knowledge of the law is the most powerful protection you have. Stay safe out there.